Hello friends, a very warm welcome to UnSarkari. After understanding what is constitutionalism and also reflecting upon two traditions of constitutionalism, today we are going to discuss salient characteristics of constitutionalism. I am Vikas Bhardwaj and our goal is to understand and to refine our standard up to such extent where you are able to write and also able to think on your own in a smart way so as to extract unique and beautiful examples which you can write in the examination, thereby scoring success. When we speak about constitutionalism, there are different elements to it. According to Barnett, checks and balances, very important, limited government, and responsible, accountable are the two keywords linked with it, and finally, the limiting of authority. So this can come as a multiple choice question and you must be able to write about Barnett's ideas if the question comes up directly in even PSIR that checks and balances, limited government, responsible, accountable and limiting of authority. You can remember them by trying to apply these elements and adjectives with that of India. So that will be a one way that whether these all elements are actually available and they are actually possible in Indian constitution or not. Secondly, we have to think that what is the list given by Hankin? He is also listing essential characteristics: popular sovereignty, rule of law, limited government, separation of power, checks and balances, civilian control of the military, police force subject to legal restraint and judicial oversight, independent judiciary, respect for individual rights, and right to self-determination. These are the 9 elements. But don't you think the list is much more comprehensive than the first one? Identify common areas in the both and try to write a short note on Hankin list of essential characteristics. When we think about Indian illustration, then Indian constitution embodies all these principles. It is an example of balancing parliamentary democracy with judicial review and fundamental rights. These are the three key things which are very beautifully and in a very delicate balanced manner reflected in Indian constitution. My question to you is, does India's constitutional framework succeed in balancing authority and accountability, or do political realities often override these ideals? Okay, political realities. Political realities means Chara Ghotala. Political reality mean the 2G 3G scam. Political reality means corruption. Political reality means inefficiency. Political reality means dynastic politics. Political reality means uh, politicians able to gobble up crores and crores of not only wealth but also they are able to make sure that their fiefdom continues and so forth. My question is on those lines, so you write the answer but with a positive nudge. Popular sovereignty is very important. So what is popular sovereignty means? Because popular sovereignty means that people are sovereign. That means people are free, they are having free will. That means there is a sense of freedom in your thought, freedom in your everyday life, freedom in your future. So all government authority, it originates from the people. Why? Because the people are only going to give legitimacy to all institutions, and legitimacy given to all institutions is by the people, and all institutions require public approval. For example, in India, you can say free and fair elections are one of the examples, and representative elections, that is why we say, are the key and most important example of public approval. And preamble of the Indian Constitution, it begins with we the people of India. I have asked my students to even remember and revise the preamble so that they can understand. And it says, it affirms the fact that sovereignty lies with the citizens. My question to you is, if sovereignty lies with the people, why do voter turnout and political apathy remains challenges in India? Political apathy, नेताओं का कुछ नहीं होने वाला, नेताओं की चलती है, हमारे चाचा विधायक हैं, दिस इज अ पॉलिटिकल एपैथी, बिकॉज वी नो उसी की चलेगी, उसी का भला होगा, हमारा नहीं होगा. So that that sense of cynicism or the sense of lack of confidence, it actually demoralizes. So do you think it can be changed? How? Separation of powers is a very important concept in this whole idea, because power is divided among legislative, executive, and judiciary. So monopoly of authority is a very key phrase here. It leads to tyranny and dictatorship. And legislature enacts laws, executive implements, and judiciary interprets. Very important. It is the enactment by the parliament, implementation by the government, and interpretation by the judiciary. For example, Supreme Court striking down NJAC 2015, which reaffirmed judicial independence against legislative overreach, where NJAC wanted to create a kind of a system where government will also be having a certain say in the appointments in higher judiciary, which is against the norms of the constitution, because constitution says the judiciary must remain independent, must remain firm, must remain unbiased. So nobody wants in India a committed judiciary. Judiciary must represent people's will, constitutions, ideas. So India's separation of powers truly prevent tyranny? Okay, truly is the key word here. Please remember, truly prevent tyranny. Or does it overlap between legislature and executive weaken it? What do you think? Please, whatever we have discussed, you have read through newspapers, we have been discussing in our personal discussions also. On those lines, write this answer. Responsible and accountable government is very important, because government is accountable to the governed. Government is accountable to the governed. हाँ? भारत सरकार आपके द्वार, प्रधान सेवक, जन सेवक, प्रथम सेवक. This is how the government wants to convey, and government's goal is. Accountability is enforced through elections. Fiscal accounting through different mechanisms and institutions. Recall and referendum. These are also important mechanisms for responsible and accountable government. For example, parliamentary hour question, where questions are asked by the member of parliament to the ministers. In RTI Act 2005 are mechanisms for ensuring accountability of ministers and officials. All public work and the public issues come under this domain. So, on these lines, if we see a question, is electoral accountability enough? Is electoral accountability enough, or do tools like RTI and social activism play a stronger role in India's democracy? Do you think only electoral accountability is enough, or RTI and social activism, they definitely and truly play some role in making India's democracy more stronger, or they are just namesake? Do write an answer. So rule of law, another very important part of constitutionalism. Government governed by laws, not men. Okay, government is governed by laws, not men. It is not the people. It is the law which is important. It is the system. It is the process which is important. Let's see Dacey's principles. No one is punishable except for the breach of law before ordinary courts. No one is punishable except for breach of law. So there must be breach of law. Then only someone can be put to trial or put into, you know, uh, the put into the witness box that you have done something wrong. No one is exempt from the law. No one. No one means no one. And court protects people rights. Remember all this. This is very important. Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayan case 1975 upheld the supremacy of law over political power. That is why it is the political power that is not supreme, it is the people's power that is supreme. So rule of law in India apply equally to the powerful and the ordinary citizen? Do you think so? How? Give illustrations. Independent judiciary. So judicial independence is the distinguishing feature of liberal democracy. Court uphold individual liberties. Court always says that the bail is the norm. Bail is the norm, and jail must be there when no possibility is there. It is not other way around. And court also investigate breaches of law. So court is so important. Keshwanand Bharti case established the basic structure doctrine protecting constitutional principles from arbitrary amendment, as I already told you. So, judicial, do you think so? Judicial activism has strengthened democracy, or it has blurred the line between judiciary and legislature? What actually judicial activism has done in India? Please do think, and definitely bring one or two illustrations, case studies, and names. Respect for individual rights. That is also a very important part of constitutionalism. Rights must be recognized and safeguarded. For example, Article 1 of the UN Charter, it promotes respect for fundamental freedoms without discrimination. Respect for fundamental freedoms without discrimination. Article 1 of the UN Charter, and it is also part of fundamental rights. Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, equality, freedom, and protection. Equality, freedom, and protection. Protection against discrimination. So, are constitutional rights in India effectively protected? I know they are protected. But are they effectively protected, or do socio-economic inequalities dilute their impact? Very important question. Are constitutional rights in India effectively protected, or do socio-economic inequalities, meaning thereby the such a gap between the rich and the poor and have-nots, actually it makes people so nervous, makes people so callous, and make people so discouraged that they are not able to protect their constitutional rights. Respect for self-determination, again a very important part. Self-determination. People have right to decide political and the legal status of their area. Right, and this is their right. That means respect for self-determination. It also includes establishing their own state. That is why there have been agitations like how Uttarakhand came as a separate state, how Jharkhand came as a separate state, how Telangana came as a separate state, how Chhattisgarh became a separate state. Or they may also ask for joining the existing ones, that they don't want to be separated. This is both ways. So Telangana is an example of self-determination within India's constitutional framework. So does India's federal structure it adequately respect regional aspirations, or does central authority dominate? What do you think? इंडिया का जो फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर है दैट इज गिवन एन एडिक्वेट रिस्पेक्ट टू द रीजनल एस्पिरेशंस वेदर इट इज ऑफ तमिलनाडु वेदर इट इज ऑफ लद्दाख वेदर इट इज ऑफ बोडोलैंड और it is the central authority which is dominating, and it is actually stifling the voices of the regional powers, regional aspirations, or plural culture. Civilian control of military, very important point. That is what we have started in the beginning. Samuel Huntington, he said, very important quote, the proper subordination of a competent professional military to the ends of policy as determined by civilian authority. This is what happens in India. There is a proper subordination of a competent professional military. Indian military is competent, Indian military is professional, and the policy is to safeguard the nation. Policy is to make sure our nation is safe 24 into 7. Our dushman, they must not think of even attacking or even doing anything wrong to India. माँ भारती के सैनिक, माँ भारती के सपूत भारतीय सेवा में तत्पर हैं, and it is determined by a civilian authority. Civilian authority means the civilian government, and the government is reflecting aspirations of the masses. So Pakistan का उल्टा. Civilian leadership decides defense planning, how much is spent, modernization of defense, indigenization of defense equipments, and also strategic command and so forth, organization and even resource allocation. That is so true for India. India's military is firmly under civilian control with Ministry of Defense headed by elected representatives. So does strong civilian control ensures democracy, or can it sometimes slow military efficiency in crisis? Do you think India के केस में ऐसा हुआ है? What is your opinion? Write a short case study of 200 words. Police governed by law and judicial control. What do you think happens in India? Is police governed by law? Is police governed by the rule of law? Is police governed by the judicial control? Police maintain law and order and bring criminals to justice. Is it happening in India? Police respect rights, dignity, and freedoms, even of the offenders, that is their constitutional rights, and presumption of innocence is upheld by the courts. Police will not say who is right, who is wrong. It is the court which will be telling what is right, what is wrong. Supreme Court's directives in Prakash Singh case 2006, it mandated police reforms to ensure accountability and reduce political interference. So ऐसा process चल रहा है. Can India's police system truly balance law enforcement with protection of individual rights? Do you think so? That India's police system truly balance law enforcement with protection of individual rights? How do you see the future of Indian police when we think of Viksit Bharat? All these ideas are very crucial. Today we have discussed very important and crucial elements which forms the core, or you can say soul, of constitutionalism. Do write them down, revise them couple of times, and then try to create your own illustrations, because that is the positive way forward. See you in the next lecture. Thank you very much for being with UnSarkari.